All right, welcome to this King's Claim devlog. This one might be the most boring yet. We'll see. Not that I'm trying to beat that record or anything, but I'm going to pick up right where I left off. If you watched the last episode, which I would recommend, I guess I should actually load up a game so you can see what's happening. But what's happening is the AIs will build walls, and but they'll lock themselves out. They won't build gates in the wall anywhere, and that's bad because they kind of lock themselves out of reaching their own castle. I was going to originally start working on that problem, but as soon as I started looking at the code, I found some refactoring things I wanted to fix pretty quick, so I just did a quick refactor on it. So we'll let that run until it's finished. But this episode is going to start with just reading some code. So what I want to do is, this is the same session I had before. I only have 4% of my tokens context used, so I should be fine. All right, next task. I want to research why the CPU commander isn't placing gates in walls at all. I'm going to switch to plan mode. I'm going to read through the code to see what might be causing it. But if you could first give me a summary of how the CPU commander considers whether how the CPU commander thinks about gates, that would be a good starting place. Would be a good starting place. Okay. So we'll start with that. This will give me a summary of the various files involved. I think I know where most of them are. I think gate, wall, and CPU commander, which is going to have a get next command method or something like that. But something like that is going to be involved. Okay. Here, for example, I'm currently looking to game process command method in detail, specifically the logic for the build gate command. I've noticed the code explicitly checks and handles this command with dedicated logic, verifying the X and Y coordinates for the command's payload. It seems like a direct implementation. I want to see if it can be improved. That's interesting. I don't know why the game class, which is kind of the main game loop, would care about building gates. I mean, it needs to handle building gates to update the game state and whatever, but I don't know if that's really what needs to happen. Let's allow it to run these tests. I mean, nothing's changed, so the test should pass, I would presume, but we'll see. Oh, there's also a new version of Ruby that just came out recently, version 4. So I might also install that while I'm in here. Actually, let me look into that. Ruby version, I'm on 3.4.8. Let me just check something. What version of Rails am I on? Bundle, show Rails. 8.03, and let me just find out. Is Rails 8, doing this off screen here, compatible with Ruby 4? No, Rails is not compatible with Ruby 4, according to Gemini. But who knows? That may be incorrect. Because also the page that I'm looking at doesn't have Ruby 4 mentioned, so. go to the Ruby on Rails website. I guess you guys don't really have much interesting to watch here, so let me just put that up there so you can read that if you want. Ruby on Rails. See if I can even update. I can update to Rails 8.1.1, which is a higher version. Yeah, okay. Maybe I'm not going to do that. That's a little bit of maintenance work I don't necessarily want to take on right now. So, okay. Let's read the summary. CPU commander's logic for placing gates is contained within the plan expansion method in app server CPU commander. Okay, no surprise there. Here's a summary of how it thinks about gates. Identify the perimeter. The commander calculates a square perimeter around a castle at specific radii, 3, 6, 9, etc. It looks for the first incomplete ring, a ring that has at least one empty spot. That's interesting. It's interesting that it came up with this algorithm because I didn't specify what the algorithm was. I just said, I described in a previous episode like what was wrong with what it was doing, and it came up with the solution on its own, which is kind of cool. Identify candidates. It gathers all valid empty coordinates, unbuilt candidates on that ring. Prioritize gates. It specifically looks for gate spots, coordinates on the perimeter where either x equals castle x or y equals castle y. Oh, that's interesting. So in other words, it would build up, down, left, and right directly from the castle. That's okay. That's a very simple way to do it. Not very clever, and probably not what I want to end up with in the shipped demo game, but at least that should work, right? These happen to correspond with the midpoints of the four sides of the square because of the fact that the squares are built out at with the castle in the center all the time. So, if any of these gate spots are currently unbuilt, it immediately returns a build gate command for that spot. This effectively ensures that the 4 gates, one on each side, are the very first things built on any new expansion ring. Well, I call BS to that because that ain't happening. Fall back to walls. Only if all 4 gate spots on the current ring are already occupied by gates or other obstacles does it proceed to build standard walls to fill the rest of the perimeter. Observation. The logic explicitly enforces that gates are built before walls on any given ring. If the commander is building walls but not gates, it would imply that either the gate spots are somehow already occupied, for example, by walls built by something else, or the calculation x equals castle x or y equals castle y is failing to identify the midpoints correctly though my review suggests the math is correct for a square grid. The build gate command is being issued but treated as standard wall construction by the game engine, though game process command explicitly instantiates gates object for this command. Since the logic appears sound and tests are passing, this behavior is quite puzzling. Would you like me to create a reproduction script to observe the game move? Well, maybe. Maybe. What I can tell you is that in the game's UI, I don't see any gates. And if the gates are there, but being rendered incorrectly, then the pathfinding code doesn't seem to think that gates are passable, though the structure passable by unit method should take care of this. What other theories do you have for the root cause? Are we sure, for example, that the pathfinding code is correct as well as the rendering code? I should also search these logs for the word gate and see if it shows up. But see, it doesn't, which implies to me that after 2,000 ticks of a particular game, it doesn't do anything with gates. But does the word wall appear? Oh, I guess not. So maybe it doesn't. Yeah. Maybe neither thing appears. Well, let's see what this comes up with. So in the meantime, I guess I can close this because I'm not going to upgrade Ruby. And it hasn't made any changes. So let's go app server CPU commander, we want to go to the plan expansion method. And let's kind of read through this. Strategic AI nested square expansion with gates, build square perimeters at fixed intervals, 3, 6, 9, etc. Spaces away from the castle, identifies the smallest incomplete perimeter ring, builds gates at strategic points, midpoints of size, builds walls on the rest of the ring, allows detached building, doesn't require connectivity to castle. Okay, good. That was the thing that was wrong with the previous implementation. So it claims that this is what it's doing, right? Okay, so my castle equals gamestate.castles.find. So it's going to find the castle matching the current player that's passed into this method here, and it's got the full game state, which is like whatever, fine. Return nil unless my castle, I mean that probably shouldn't happen, but determine target radius. Target radius equals 3. Okay, so it's going to start with a small radius ring, of course, and then go up from there if the target radius needs to be expanded. This loop, get square perimeter, filter to only valid map coordinates. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So what this loop does first is just look for incomplete walls. This is the thing that enqueues a bunch of jobs to build out the walls if it needs to. Okay. So that really just, all this loop really does is do a number of checks and then expands the target radius if it needs to. But by default, it will go out 3 spaces every direction, then 6, then 9, etc. All right, now identify candidates, all unbuilt spots on the ring. Unbuilt coordinates equals target coordinates select, anything that is a buildable target. I'm going to come back here and let's just look at is buildable target. What is that method? It's false if there's no wall at the X and Y, which means what does that mean? Is buildable target. I would think that should return true unless that what wall at means is actually that it's off the map, maybe? I don't know. False if there's a castle on it. False if there's a quarry. So yeah, so that's interesting. Let's look at wall at server game state. Wall at walls find. Help her to find a wall at specific coordinates. Walls find X. Wow, why does it loop through all the walls? Oh, because of the way walls work. I'm not using a layered tile map thing. I just literally have all the walls in an array. That's kind of gross. That's a little bit of a optimization for later. Okay, but it's good to know. Still, like, is buildable target false if there's already a wall there? Oh, no, I guess that's right. Yeah, it's saying it's not a buildable target if there's already a wall, if there's already a castle, or if there's already a quarry. So I was just misreading that. Okay, so let's jump back to where we were in the code. Return nil. This means like don't do anything if there aren't any unbuilt candidates. Prioritize gates is all right. Here's where the thing is that seems to be broken. Gate spots, unbuilt candidates. So that's any unbuilt, any spots where the candidates. What am I trying to say? Unbuilt candidates. This method is an array of places where we could build a wall. Okay. But what it's first doing is the gate spots is it's filtering unbuilt candidates down to just the ones where my castle.x, the x of the wall, and the y of the wall match the castle, which should result in, like if I have a castle right in the center, that should result in a wall directly above, directly below, directly to the left, and directly to the right of the castle. So if gate spots any, best best equals gate spots dot first. I like how it just says this is an arbitrary choice. So it just says like, yeah, build a gate, but like do it, you know, via just the first one that it happens to find, which is fine, I think. Return command, build new gate. So this is not surprising, right? So what this does is this whole method, this logic, what it's supposed to be doing is planning its expansion, and it should either return nil if there's nothing to do, or it should return a command to be done if there's something to be done, right? So that's not too surprising. Let's look at game state. And, oh, that's not what I'm looking for either. Maybe it's server? App server, maybe it's game. Command, process, action, okay. When build wall, build gate, build wall. Oh, is this the problem? Case action. Okay, I mean, this doesn't, Does this ever build gates? I mean, is that the problem? This should really have an else so that it catches when something comes through this case thing that's not a valid thing. But that's interesting. Process action. Command equals get next command. Right, and get next command, all it does is call plan expansion right now. So process command. Okay, so my gut says that the problem is this case statement doesn't handle building gates. I mean, maybe I'm crazy. How do we get action though? So what's this process action? Oops. What calls this? Oh, okay. Process action. So this is an action from the player, right? But, okay. Interesting. So I think this is part of the problem. Seem to be missing a case here, and then we got this ping pong action, blah blah blah. Yeah, so we kind of got two issues. I think there's a case missing here. I don't know what this move worker thing is actually. I don't even remember what this was added for. Probably don't need to do this. But also the problem could be in the message passing between the front end and the back end or something. I don't know. So let's see what the AI's guess is. I've identified a critical bug that explains why pathfinding treats gates as obstacles, which leads to workers getting stuck and likely failing to build the gates, leaving them as 0 HP blueprints, which might be hard to see or confusing. The structure passable by unit method checks if the owner is the owner of the structure. It relies on the unit responding to the owner method. However, the worker class has a player attribute, but no owner. As a result, passable by always returns false for the actual worker instances, even though the unit tests passed because they used mock objects that did not have an owner. Okay, is that true? Let's go check that assumption. So we want to do app server structure and passable by false, yeah. App server wall. Okay, we don't override that, so that's fine. App server gate. True if respond to owner, okay. App server worker. Owner. Okay, so that is definitely a bug. What I want, rather than tell it to respond to owner, I mean, first of all, this is dumb. It shouldn't have to do this check. It should just be able to call .owner, and if it had done that, it would have crashed in a way that would have been obvious what the problem was. So, okay. So I want to change this to player, change this to player, change this to player, and I want it to just call .owner. So, yeah, that's one thing. Okay. And then I wanted to look at the other thing where the processing of commands doesn't even handle gates, it seems. So, okay. Reproduction tests, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Okay, this is almost what I want. I don't see any reason why we need two terms. Player and owner to mean the same thing. Let's just use the term player everywhere. So in this file, in gate, in the following files, use the term player rather than owner. Structure, wall, and gate. Nope, not quite that. Whoops. Wall and gate.rb. Okay. Anything else? Worker already has it as player. That's fine. And then update the tests accordingly. And I'll take a look. After you do that, I have something else I want you to look into. So I'll switch to build mode so I can just take these instructions and run with it. Hopefully just take care of things. But this is going to be at least a two-phase problem. While it's doing that, okay, first of all, it's making the correct change here. That's good. So I'm going to trust it's probably going to get the rest correct, I hope. Let's go into back to this process action. Oh no, I want to go to CPU commander, plan expansion. I want to look at the rest of this method because I kind of stopped at build gate, right? So it should return early with a build gate command, but it doesn't seem to do that. I don't know. So if that doesn't happen, then it goes and builds walls. And this is the end of the method right here. So it's not much longer. It basically just does adjacent candidates, unbuild candidates, looks for things next to it, has friendly wall neighbor. Okay. Basically checks to see if there's already something there. Yeah, it checks above, below, to the left, and to the right to see if, to make sure that either there's nothing there or that if there's something there that it is the same owner as the thing you're checking. See, it's using the owner terminology here too. That's kind of annoying. Don't forget, or actually I forgot. I forgot to mention that you also need to replace owner terminology with player in CPU commander. Okay, so it's working on that. That's queued up. As soon as it's done with what it's currently working on, it will fire this off. Okay, so it's going to add that to the stuff it's got to do. It's made a couple of changes. Whew, that's a lot of changes. Owner with player, owner with player. I mean, it might have actually caught the fact that I need to do this. So, yeah. And then are we in the tests now? Yeah, so it's up making a bunch of test changes as well to match up the terminology. Okay, fine. Seems like it's fine. All right, so it's changed structure, wall, gate, game state serializer, and CPU commander, which do not show is modified to the right over here, which is weird. But of course, the truth is what's in this list, so that seems right to me. It also matched up the tests, ran all the tests to make sure everything's fine. So now what we're going to do is, of course, restart the server, clear out any pending old game servers, and then refresh here and make sure this works. And if it does, then I think we're okay with that refactor. Okay. I mean, it seems to be working. It's building stuff. Oh, but then it crashed. That's not good. Reconnect. Nope. All right. Well, it crashed doing something. Let's look at the server log, game servers. I can see that the most recent one is, I guess, this one. Tail, I don't know, give me the last 30 lines of this file. Player disconnected. Winner D1. Oh, player 1 disconnected. Game running true. Player 2 disconnected. Okay, well, I'm not quite sure why that happened. Maybe it wasn't supposed to. I don't know. Let's just try it again. Might be a fluke for all I know. Might be a bug in the front end. Who knows? Let's see, it flipped out again. It flipped out when I changed the active browser. That's weird. Like when I switched from this one to this one, it just stopped. I wonder is it a certain number of ticks that happens? Yeah, something's wrong. Like something that it just did caused this, I think. Okay, let me actually go look at the code changes then. Now that it's done, player. Is this really the newest one? November. Yeah, I guess so. Oh. I wasn't sorting by newest, so I was maybe looking at the wrong log. Maybe. Oh. Group by owner. Ah, okay, this is the problem. Okay. I think you missed an owner player reference. The game server is now crashing due to the following error from the game log, from the game server log. So we'll just paste that in. And it's, it's going to get that the territory calculator was not one of the things it updated, and it needs to do that. This is the problem with me telling it to look only in certain files instead of just saying, hey, scan all the code under app server, the app server folder, and just fix everything. Check all Ruby files under app server to make sure no other references appear, so that we can hopefully fix this right away. All right, so I'll unqueue that message. Still working on some references and fixing some tests. And yeah, I think that might be okay. Although, are these... Oh, and oh. Same problem when checking. Sorry. You should also verify all references to owner are replaced with player in the matching tests, of course. My bad. So just queuing up more work for it to do. Hopefully it'll be fine. I'm going to get a drink of water. That's weird. I realized the mocking within the test needs to be uniformly used player, not owner. I wonder why it uses mocks in this case anyway. Like, is it so hard to just instantiate a real object? I mean, what's the problem? This is the problem with mocks, is if you give it a fake BS object and it's not the real thing, you can run into these kinds of bugs, but whatever. Probably not a big deal. I'm not writing the test anyway. I'm just verifying that the game seems to work correctly, and I'm coming back and telling it to refactor and fix things that I find in the code and whatnot. So chances are it's probably okay. Oh, that's interesting. It's just using struct, which is, you can think of it as a mock object. It's one way to use structs, is that it just creates a thing that responds to these different values, and then it gives it a, or these different, you can think of X, Y, and player as method calls that it's kind of setting up. It's a struct. If you know programming, then it's a little simpler than that, but because attributes on an object, like a struct instance, respond in the same way as method calls in Ruby, then you call .x, .y, .player, whatever, and it works just like a method call, probably because it pretty much is. Okay, so it thinks it's done. Fix some more tests. Ran the full test suite. Okay. Rate test reports a failure in the pages controller test, but this appears to be a pre-existing issue unrelated to the server logic changes. Oh, that's interesting. So it found a failing test, it says, and it's just going to be like, whatever, I don't care. That's interesting. Oh, this thing. Huh. Oh, this is just a small reference. Okay. Go ahead and fix the bug in the controller as well. Well, it looks like a simple undefined method variable problem. Yeah, whatever. I was going to say, and then run the test suite, but I guess I don't really need to worry about that. I'll meticulously compare the test results. Yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah, the name of the route probably just changed, which is probably why this is failing. Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. It was probably just something really dumb like that. All right, you going to run all the tests now? Yeah, good idea. Run all those tests. Ran in 132 milliseconds. But now it's got to run all these other tests as well. Pretty quick. Way faster. Because it's not doing Rails stuff. It's just, we're talking milliseconds or under a millisecond for a lot of these things. Okay, cool. Rake test. I wonder if I can run it on my own. Oh, does it really only run just the controller? Because that's hilarious. Whatever. Okay. Well, that should probably be fixed at some point. When you run rake tests, it should run all the tests everywhere, but whatever. Okay. Anyway, this is probably fixed now. Let's restart the server, the backend server, and I will see if I can get this stuff to work again, and we will create a new game and see what's what. Seemed like a pretty simple bug, so, whatever. Still not... okay, it did build these 4 spots first, so I know that it is doing that logic of saying, like, the spot above, below, to the left, and to the right is the first wall you should choose. So I do know that it's doing that thing, so that's good, but it's still building a friggin' wall. So, why? Maybe it's that bug where it just seemed like it was doing the wrong thing. So that's my next theory. I'm going to commit these changes. Wow, so much trouble caused. Trouble caused by owner instead of a player. All right, cool. Still running the game? Cool. Oh, wow, it's doing something real funky now. Oh, no, I guess that's not too funky. It's building out that next radius of walls, but because there's competing walls there, right, it's skipping those. What it should do is probably try to damage those walls, but I guess not. We're going to just see who gets there first, red or blue. Again, this is really just another silly problem with the AI. But, whatevs. Whatevs. We're just going to see how far we can get with getting those gates to be built. Because... localhost 3000 sprites gate. This should be here, right? Okay, the gate PNG is definitely here, so it's loaded from the server. It should be available. It's just not. I think it's actually just not placing stuff. Oh wait! Oh no! Look, it's going through the gate. Okay, so it is. No, these gates are definitely here because the workers are. Yeah, nice. Okay, so yeah, I don't think there is a bug anymore because the workers are not really oh, okay, well there's this there's a red worker stuck in this other quarry because he's completely enclosed within walls now and there's no gate he can go through. But that's a totally different problem. You can see this worker is like going through the wall, no problem. Okay, so the gates are there. Well, that's huge progress. That's great. So the gates are definitely there. Awesome. Huge progress. I can verify that the gates are indeed present in the game state because I can see that workers are walking through the walls in the appropriate places. Just one more bug, I think. And that is that on the front end, gates are being rendered as walls rather than gates. So a couple of questions for you. Is the front end renderer using the gate.png file for gates? Is the front end is the game state serializer sending the gates to the front end as gates and not walls. Can you look into that? The back end seems cool now, so cool, but the rendering is still off. So I saved this, right? Okay, cool. So it's gonna go work on that. And yeah, we might be there. I think we might be golden. So, side note, right, while it works on this, is that, oh, it has, okay. Wall type gate, yeah, well, it's not a wall type technically anymore. I wonder if, yeah, I don't know, who knows. Anyway, side note, right, even with vibe coding, it's very, very, very helpful to have some experience building, troubleshooting, etc. Programs, because if you don't know what you're doing, you're not going to necessarily describe things in useful ways. On the flip side, right, sometimes I don't describe what I'm almost certain is wrong because the LLMs are trained to be like very nice and very differential. And if you say, hey, I think the bug is over here, go fix it, it will dutifully go there. Even if you, as the operator, are wrong, it'll just go change whatever you say it should change because it's supposed to be able to trust you, right? So oftentimes I'll describe a problem that I'm seeing with a program in terms of its symptoms, not in terms of what I think is actually wrong with the code, especially because, I'm not writing a lot of the code. So what do I know? All right. The gate, here's its diagnosis, right? The gate definitely exists. The serializer serializes the type. This means the gate object is serialized with type gate. Okay. The game renderer class has logic to handle this. If type equals gates, draw sprite gate. Okay. The problem, gate state serializer generates the type string correctly gate, but the game renderer checks for wall.type. However, looking closely at app server game state serializer, blah, 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 w.class.name.split. Okay, fine. This produces gate for gate and wall for wall. Wait, I need to check game renderer again. This logic looks correct, assuming the serializer is actually doing what I think it is. Let's verify the serializer output with a test. I suspect that maybe gate objects aren't being created as gate class instances, or the class name logic is flawed namespacing. I'll write a quick test to verify. Okay. Okay, whatever. Go for it. I don't know why it stopped there. I wonder if I accidentally hit escape to cancel it or something. Okay, so it just made a change to test serializer. Fine. Okay. So type gate. What does it say? Oh, serializer is correctly outputting gate. Is the renderer actually receiving the latest JS code? If this is a Rails app, maybe the asset pipeline hasn't been recompiled. Oh, I mean, that's possible, I guess. Sure. They're very different sizes. Gate is about 1 kilobyte and wall is 100 bytes. So they're definitely different images. Yeah, sure. Wait, I added console.log in the game renderer. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, it's checking a lot of things. By the way, yes, this is a game. This is a Rails app, and well, I don't think the asset pipeline is the problem here, I wouldn't say that I could rule it out either, so. You said rendering is still off. Is it possible the user is seeing wall blueprints instead of gates? No, I'm definitely not seeing gates. Come on. Okay, this is a little simpler. That might make it easier, but it's probably not the test serializer because you did the test and it was doing it right, right? Right. Jeez, man. I like that it's coming up with methods for testing its assumptions, though, so that's cool. Type gate, yeah. Okay. Okay, I've changed the gate sterilizer to use explicit type checking, which is more robust. Please restart the game server to pick up these changes. The front end should now receive type gate explicitly. If you still see walls instead of gates, we should check the browser console for drawing gate at. Ah, yes, I like that. If you deployed that change. Okay. Cool. So it's saying explicitly that I need to restart the backend server, which I will dutifully do. Then we'll go back here, refresh this stuff, start a game. Hopefully it doesn't crash. Gate. I don't see anything about gates. Oh, it says it was in the console log, right? So here we go. Game renderer set player is now a function. Interesting. Loading sprite. All sprites loaded. Sprites loaded successfully. See, I don't see gate listed here. I still don't see gates being rendered. So let me just copy this stuff. Is it going to get this? I mean, I hope so. Okay. Here's what I see in the browser's console. Before I do that, I want to just, yeah. There is no mention of rendering gates, and I also noticed that the list of loaded sprites doesn't seem to include the gates. Of course, I should double check that though. Quarry castle, workers, carrying, wall one, job marker. Yeah. Proceed with your troubleshooting. The UI still doesn't seem to be rendering gates. Let me make sure. Do I have any uncommitted changes? I'll just go with that. I've got these staged. That should be fine. So let's see where it gets. Still only 12% of my context window used. That's nice. So I watched this great talk on YouTube from this AI engineering conference where they talk about optimizing and paying a lot of attention to how you use your context window. And the way they think about it basically is that if your context window is where everything useful that's specific to your problem is stored. And therefore it's important to, first of all, not put a bunch of extraneous, just distracting stuff in the context window, but also not to put conflicting stuff in the context window. And I'm looking forward to kind of applying some of those approaches, but where was I going with that? Basically, when your context window gets filled up more and more, it starts to kind of lose its mind a little bit. Okay, so, oh, that's interesting. Okay. The file game renderer definitely contains gate.png in its sprite list, and it definitely contains the set player method. However, the user's browser is reporting uncaught type error. This confirms 100% that the browser is using an old version of the file. Since the application uses JavaScript import map tags, the issue is likely that the file hash hasn't updated or the browser is aggressively caching the old file. Bump the version timestamp. It will make a trivial whitespace change to the game renderer. This forces the Rails to generate a new hash for the file, which should bust the browser cache. Instruction will verify to the user that this is a caching asset pipeline issue and that the bump should fix it. I'll add the timestamp to the top, blah, 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 blah. Okay. I've forced an update of the game renderer. This should invalidate the previous asset hash and force the browser to download the new version, which includes the gate and the set player method. Okay, cool. So I didn't even know that thing was there. So that's good information for me too. And this is why it's very important to read what your vibe coding session is doing so that you yourself don't get screwed by not knowing what you're doing. So let's see. Console. Okay. So we'll start over here. And we'll start over here. Yep, still not doing it. That stinks. Is it loading it here? Game renderer. What is this? Game, what did it actually update? Like, put a timestamp in what? Game renderer.js? Yeah, see, it doesn't have the timestamp thing, so. Okay. Can you delete the asset pipeline files? The game renderer .js is still loading the non-timestamped version for some reason. And did it actually? Yeah, it definitely did. So let me see if I can force it to bust the cache. Because that's really weird. Okay, so what did it run? Oh, public assets, okay. Yeah, I mean, that might work. Temp clear, yeah, good. We definitely fixed some backend stuff, so that's good. But yeah, I wonder if this bug just appears to have lingered longer than it was really here, maybe? I don't know. So let's go back. We'll just let that game kind of run into oblivion. We don't really care. Restart the server. Shouldn't have to, I mean, because the assets are gone now, but I just want to see what's up here. What's it doing? Oh, I just reloaded. I didn't mean to reload, I think. Or did I? Maybe I did. Oh, it's rendering the gates now. Okay, cool. Game renderer. It's got the timestamp on it. Awesome. So I can close this now. Look at that. We can see the gates. Okay. This has been a little bit of a longer devlog, but you can see, first of all, I love how you can see the walls getting built incrementally, one thing at a time. That's really cool when you turn off the debug overlay. And I like that you can see the gates now clearly. And this is really cool. We should probably colorize the walls at some point so that red and blue walls are obviously different. And then that'll force a change to the game renderer as well. But it's just really cool to actually see this, working. Oh, it is interesting. Okay, I didn't realize this, but with the debug overlay, I guess, is this always the case? Whatever. So the jobs being shown are just the current player. So this is the player 2 window. This is the player 1 window. So the jobs are for player 1 are there, and the jobs for player 2 are over here. I mean, look at this. We're less than 20 devlogs into this. I started completely from scratch, totally empty application, and we're already here. I mean, that's honestly pretty cool. So, built a Rails backend that can serve this on a website. It built the front end. It built all the game logic. It followed the coding structure. I'm able to use the README file to bootstrap it every time I start a new session. It's going in and out of the gates, which is the coolest freaking thing. I wonder if there's enough space for it to try to build a third ring here. I'm just going to watch this and see what it does, yeah. We're getting closer and closer to like an actual playable thing. Don't know if it's going to work out, but it'd be cool if it did. Oh, yeah, there goes the third outer ring. Same thing with the blue player. So it's building out, at about the same pace. This particular outer ring happens to be on the edge of the map. I wonder if it's actually going to finish that and then be able to go even further. I don't know. I think the next thing I would like to do is colorize the map to see what part of the land is actually claimed by certain players. So what it would do is replace the grass texture with a red tile for claimed areas for the red player and a blue tile for the blue player, etc. It'd be really nice to be able to actually visualize that and make sure that our land claiming code is working. And then also see it increase the number of workers as a result. So you claim more land, you get more workers, And then the sort of expansion side of the AI is at least working well enough that, it's kind of crappy because it's just dumb. And it's just following this lame-ass plan. But it's cool in the sense that it's like doing something. Now, I don't know why this is stuck here, right? Like, I wonder if these guys are trying to pathfind, because of where they are, I wonder if they're trying to pathfind to this quarry. That's interesting. And they're just stuck. Because they should be able to go through these gates to get to this other quarry, right? But, I don't know. That's something else for me to think about. Okay, so game only lasts so long. It automatically goes to a game over screen after 2,000 ticks because I just don't want it to run forever. But that's pretty good. I think that's a good place to end this. I'm going to commit my code here in a second. And yeah, pretty cool. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.